Amazing warning from a maid. Billionaire discovered a hidden truth about his wife's food. Part 1. Clara's heart raced as she stood in the sprawling kitchen of the Harrison penthouse, the stark contrast of her frayed dark jeans against the gleaming marble countertops an unspoken reminder of her place in this world. The faint scent of culinary perfection still lingered in the air, remnants of the lavish dinner party that had just concluded. Jack Harrison, the charismatic CEO whose billion-dollar smile lit up not just rooms but his empire, had been the picture of doting husband, relishing each bite of Emma's evidently gourmet creations. That night, however, Clara had stumbled onto something unimaginable, a truth that threatened to unravel the very fabric of their lives. As she wiped the counters, her gaze wandered to the planner sprawled across the table, its well-organized pages and meticulous detail exemplifying the control Emma projected. A slight rustle disrupted her focus, and a grocery receipt slipped from the planner, landing on the counter. Curiosity ignited, Clara picked it up, her breath hitching as she read through the ordinary list store-bought ingredients right next to the tantalizing dishes Emma had shown off like trophies. Heart pounding, Clara felt the walls of her reality close in, a storm of turmoil wreaking havoc within her. Could it really be that the ostentatious meals served in this impeccably adorned penthouse were nothing more than smoke and mirrors? Was their life constructed upon deceit, with Jack Harrison oblivious to the truth lurking beneath his wife's illusions? The weight of her discovery pressed against her chest, threatening to suffocate her, amplifying the silent alarm bells ringing in her mind. Torn between her loyalty to the family that employed her and her fierce dedication to her own son, Clara's fingers trembled. How could she reconcile exposing the truth with the possibility of losing her job, the very lifeline that provided for her child? Her stomach twisted into painful knots of anxiety. Meanwhile, Jack found himself increasingly uneasy. Something had shifted in his world, an undercurrent of doubt he struggled to dismiss. His laughter with friends rang hollow, as he recalled the shared accolades for Emma's cooking. The way they devoured her meals as if she were a Michelin star chef now seemed tinged with contempt, a grotesque farce laid bare for him alone. The whispers of doubt nipped at his confidence, they raised uncomfortable questions about trust and illusion, revolving relentlessly in his mind. Clara fought against the tempest inside her, grappling with the enormity of her knowledge. Each moment in the kitchen felt electric, the air thick with tension as she prepared for the next lavish dinner, acutely aware that she held a secret that could obliterate their lives. She could feel the weight of judgment, palpable and suffocating, pressing against her. The truth she uncovered writhed like a living being, growing uglier with each passing hour, brimming with the potential for destruction. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Clara's mind raced, each thought colliding with the next. Should she confront Jack? How could she not? The truth gripped her like a vice, coursing through her veins, demanding action. The stakes had never been higher. Her job security, her son's future, all teetering precariously on this knife edge of deception. The tension thickened, revealing a single moment on the horizon where her courage could either ignite a fight for justice or plunge them all into personal chaos. Clara closed her eyes, envisioning the confrontation, a scene that loomed closer with every breath, a dramatic showdown that might just unravel their lives forever. Anxiety surged within her as a single decision loomed, threatening to alter the course of their intertwined destinies. What path would she choose? Clara's mind was a whirlwind as she busied herself with the evening's preparations. Chopping vegetables felt like a futile distraction from the reality gripping her. Everything in her world hung by a thread, and she was conscious of the tautness of each moment. The ding of her phone pulled her from her thoughts. It was a text from her son's school, reminding her of the upcoming fundraising event. As she read the message, a pang of guilt twisted in her gut. The pressure to maintain a steady income loomed larger than ever, coupled with the unrelenting need to be a good mother. Settling into a routine felt impossible. Hours spent shuffling through the luxurious but sterile environment of the Harrison home weighed heavily on her. She glanced around, taking in the glow of chandeliers above and the polished silverware that gleamed like a mirage of wealth and happiness. Was this grandeur a mask? Clara's palms grew clammy at the thought of revealing Emma's dark secret. Memories of delighted guests praising the purported culinary genius played over in her mind, forcing her to re-evaluate her role in the house. Anger simmered beneath the surface. Why had Emma allowed this facade to perpetuate? To think that Clara, a mere maid who had fought tooth and nail for her position, would be the one to uncover the ruse felt like an absurd twist of fate. Could she really take on the burden of confronting the couple about their seemingly perfect lives, now laced with deceit? A surge of defiance coursed through her. They may wield wealth, but she possessed something far more profound: truth. As she scrubbed down the last of the pots, Clara's resolve solidified. She couldn't stand idly by knowing the truth and letting it simmer in her heart like an uninvited guest. There was a small fire growing inside her, urging her to step beyond the bounds she had accepted. She could be the catalyst for change, not just for herself, but for Jack. His bewilderment was palpable. He deserved to know the real story, and perhaps, Clara had the potential to become the instrument of his awakening. Yet, the stakes were high. She envisioned Jack's face, the lines of confusion etched across his brow, the way curiosity danced in his eyes as he once savored Emma's meals. What would he think of her? Would he see her as a mere maid accusing his wife of treachery? The thought tightened her chest. Clara's voice quivered with uncertainty, but she knew there was no turning back. She couldn't cloak herself in fear any longer. With mounting urgency, Clara prepared for her confrontation. She mentally rehearsed her words and visualized the impact they might have. And yet, as her thoughts crystallized into a plan, the doubt seeped back in. What if she lost everything? The fragile safety nets she had woven for herself and her son could unravel even faster than she imagined. But for every risk that loomed, a deeper conviction pushed her forward. As the evening drew closer, Clara found herself standing before the ornate door to the living room, heart pounding against her ribcage. Memories of her past struggles intertwined with the moment, the sacrifices she had made for her son, the long hours that had weighed heavily on her shoulders. Taking a deep breath, she summoned every ounce of courage she possessed. The time had come to face the truth, to unveil the hidden reality lurking behind the Harrison's polished existence. With determination acting as her guide, Clara reached for the door handle and steeled herself. The encounter ahead would change everything, for better or for worse. And as reality teetered on the precipice of revelation, Clara braced herself for what lay beyond the threshold, both the storm of emotions and a stark confrontation that would echo through their lives. The moment Clara stepped inside the living room, the lavish decor felt like a suffocating embrace. The flickering candlelight danced on the walls, casting shadows that seemed to mimic the turmoil within her. Emma and Jack were seated at the dining table, their laughter ringing like chimes, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Clara hesitated, her heart racing as she took in their harmonious facade. They looked so at ease, so unfazed by the realities she lived with every day. To them, she was merely a servant, a fleeting presence in their opulent world. Yet, in that instant, she felt a resolute shift within herself, a determination to shatter their illusion. "Clara," Emma called, her eyes sparkling with delight. "Could you bring over the salad?" The simple request felt like a cue, yet Clara's feet rooted to the spot. This was the moment to echo her truth, to dismantle the enchantment that had surrounded them. Instead, she forced a tight smile and nodded, moving mechanically to fulfill the request. As she carried the bowl to the table, each step felt weighted with unvoiced resentment. The impact of the perfectly crafted image of domestic bliss threatened to choke her. Clara set the salad down, letting her fingers linger, almost as if touching the heart of the deception itself. She could almost hear the voices of the guests who had left their praises lingering in the air, praises built upon a foundation of lies. "Everything all right?" Jack's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts, concern etched in his brow. It caught her off guard. Did he sense that the gloss of their happiness was, in fact, fragile? The discussion around the table slowed, and the innocent curiosity in his eyes ignited her rebellious spirit. "I need to talk to you both," Clara said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Right now." Their expressions transformed from delight to perplexity. Jack exchanged a glance with Emma, a subtle communication passing between them like an electric current. Clara's heart hammered as she braced herself, ready to unleash the revelations that had amassed like an avalanche. "Is something wrong?" Emma asked, the brightness in her tone dimming as unease crept in. Clara opened her mouth, her rehearsed words caught in her throat. The confrontation was more monumental than she had imagined. She felt the weight of their expectations, the fear of their judgment, but also a surging tide of undeniable conviction. This was her chance to rewrite the narrative, not just for herself but for Jack's sake too. "It's about the meals you serve." The meals Emma claims to prepare, Clara managed, each word punctuated by the fear of retaliation. "Those dishes, they're not hers. That's the truth." The silence that ensued was deafening, thick with disbelief. Jack's eyes widened, shock replacing his earlier amusement. Emma's face flushed crimson, a mixture of anger and betrayal creeping into her demeanor. "Clara, you can't truly believe," Emma began, her tone defensive, but Clara pressed on, her voice cutting through the air like a knife. "I discovered it by accident, but I can't keep quiet. You need to know who's really behind the food that you've praised so often." The weight of her admission hung heavily in the air. With trembling hands, she prepared for the fallout, well aware that her revelation could shift their lives irreversibly. Self-doubt gnawed at her, but she couldn't take back the words she just unleashed. There was no safe retreat now. "What are you implying?" Jack's voice was a mixture of incredulity and concern. Clara took a step closer, eyes locking with his, daring him to see beyond the status they flaunted. "You deserve to know what's real more than anyone in this house." His jaw tightened, the internal struggle evident. In that moment, Clara knew things would never be the same. She waited for the impact of her truth to settle in, preparing herself for the consequences of her actions. But little did she know, the truth was the beginning of an unraveling that would reveal not only Emma's secret but also the hidden dimensions of her own strength. Clara was just scratching the surface of a deeper journey, one that would demand every ounce of courage and resilience she possessed. And as the tension escalated, Clara felt the ground beneath her shift. She was ready to weather the storm it would invoke, but she couldn't shake the creeping dread of what lay ahead. The confrontation was merely a threshold, and now, crossed into uncertain territory, she couldn't escape the looming question: what other truths might she unearth along the way? Clara stood there, the weight of her confession hanging in the atmosphere like an ominous cloud. Jack's piercing gaze bore into her, and she could almost feel the wheels in his mind turning, processing the implications of her revelation. Emma's fury was palpable, her body rigid, color draining from her cheeks. The moment stretched endlessly, each heartbeat echoing loudly in the silence. "Clara," Jack finally responded, his voice firm yet laced with a confusion that only reignited her determination. "What do you mean? You have to explain. Why would Emma do something like that?" The question jabbed at Clara, not necessarily reflecting a lack of understanding but rather questioning her choice to speak out. She had slipped into a position of vulnerability, a power dynamic she had never truly contemplated until now. With no framework to support her charge, she realized she had to build one from scratch. "What I mean is that the meals you enjoy, the ones Emma swears she cooks with love," she said, each word rising with fervor, "are actually prepared by someone else. I found the delivery orders." Emma surged forward. "You're being ridiculous. This is insane." Her voice rose higher, intertwining outrage and desperation. It was clear that Clara's claim struck a nerve, unraveling the tightly woven tapestry of perfection she had presented to Jack. But Clara pressed on, finding clarity in the truth she had harnessed. "Does it matter who makes them? Or how good they taste? You should know the reality, Jack. You deserve authenticity in your life, which I know Emma has obscured. Her voice resonated with resolve, an unexpected empowerment stirred within her as she spoke. Jack's brow furrowed deeper, and Clara could see the cogs in his mind shifting. It was more than confusion now, he sought answers. And for once, Clara felt she could provide them not just for him but for herself as well. The foundation of her position wavered, but she grasped it defiantly, feeling a flicker of strength within. Enough. Emma slammed her hand on the table, shattering the tension into a million pieces. You're crossing boundaries, Clara. You may think this gives you power, but you're nothing more than an employee in this house. Clara's heart raced at Emma's venomous words. But instead of retreating, anger flared. And that makes you think I wouldn't know the truth? That your deception means I have to remain invisible? She steadied herself. But I am not. I am so much more than what you perceive me to be. Jack shifted uncomfortably, the silence exchanged between the three charged with an electric tension. He took a deep breath, perhaps questioning the very structure of the life he thought he knew. What else is happening here, Clara? The question, raw and earnest, opened a door into the unknown, one that Clara cautiously approached. Her mind raced as she debated. Did she dare step through it? With each passing second, she understood that this was not merely about Emma's deception, it was about her own destiny and the choices she needed to make going forward. I've seen things, Clara admitted, pride mingled with fear in her voice. Things about what truly runs this household. Hidden fractures. Secrets wrapped in privilege, often at the expense of others. Shock flickered across Jack's face, illuminating the path of her intentions. Clara recognized that her fight was not solely about Emma, it was about defining her own identity amidst these revelations. It called for action, and cycling through the fear of backlash provided a reckless sense of liberation. Where do we go from here? She whispered, sensing the shift in their dynamic. Each of them stood on the precipice of a decision, truths hung in the balance, ready to disrupt all they had built. As she spoke, she could feel a surge of confidence building. It was not merely the act of revealing a secret, it was the act of holding her ground. Clara had begun to ignite a spark not only in herself but also in Jack, one that could illuminate their paths ahead. The tension felt alive, vibrating between them as the air turned electric. But what Clara had not anticipated was the trail her honesty might lead her down. Each word could open doors she hadn't considered, ones laced with desires much darker than the truths she had just uncovered. Would she still be able to confront whatever lay ahead, especially if it demanded more than she had to give? As the weight of her revelation settled, Clara understood one thing with growing clarity: her fight for authenticity was just beginning, and the journey could unravel deeper secrets that might redefine everything. What awaited her as Jack processed this new reality? Would they emerge stronger, or would they be crushed under the weight of the burdens now placed upon them? Clara's pulse thrummed as she stood in the charged atmosphere, acutely aware of the implications of her revelations. Jack's expression morphed from confusion to contemplation, she could almost see the barriers he had constructed beginning to crack. It terrified her, but it also thrilled her. This was a pivotal moment, one that could reshape not only her relationship with Jack but also the very landscape of her existence. Clara, do you really think Emma would go this far? Jack's voice trembled slightly, an unexpected vulnerability surfacing. Clara had expected him to rally around Emma, to dismiss her as she had before. Instead, he was questioning the foundation of his idealized life, and the realization sent a wave of determination washing over her. Yes, she asserted, feeling the strength of her certainty. She hides behind a facade of perfection, but what lies underneath is manipulation. This isn't just about meals, Jack, it's about honesty, trust, and transparency. As she articulated her thoughts, she recognized that her words were not just directed at Jack but were also a declaration of her own empowerment. Emboldened, she continued to dissect the layers that had concealed her true self. Memories of times spent stifled under Emma's constant charade rushed to her mind. You have a choice to make, she pressed, locking eyes with him and refusing to look away. You can either accept this dramatic facade she has crafted or you can seek the truth. The challenge hung palpably in the air. Jack's resolve began to shift like sand beneath his feet. What are you suggesting? That I confront her? That I ask her about the meals and everything else? Clara nodded, urging him to embrace this newfound vulnerability. Yes, but you have to be ready for what you may uncover. Authenticity does not come without a cost. The thought of what could happen terrified her, yet it was also energizing. There was an intoxicating potential to this moment, one that could not only unveil the truth but could also alleviate the weight she had carried in silence for far too long. Suddenly, Emma's voice sliced through the tension, bitter and unrelenting. You think this is about food, Clara? You think you have any right to waltz in here and disrupt our lives? You're a maid, not a counselor or a confidant. Her words stung, and Clara felt a flare of anger rise in her chest. Emma had relied on that title to uphold her superiority, but it no longer paralyzed Clara as it once did. Instead, it fueled her. A title doesn't define worth, Emma, she shot back, invoking a newfound resilience. And neither does a home filled with lies. Jack flinched at this escalation but remained rooted, torn between two worlds: the comfortable illusion he had known and the jarring reality Clara presented. Seeing his conflict, Clara seized the moment. You have a right to uncover what this house truly represents. It's time to stop living in shadows. The silence that followed was deafening, each word echoing in the room as if waiting for Jack to respond. Clara's heart raced at the prospect of his choice, wrestling her fear with hope. Can I trust you? Jack's question, laced with hesitation, shattered her moment of empowerment. Clara paused, searching the depths of his eyes for a glimmer of faith. You can. Trust isn't just a word, it's something built through actions. I'm ready to show you who I am beyond these walls. With that declaration, something in Jack shifted once more, a flicker of resolve igniting in his demeanor. His bravery in this moment rippled through Clara, reinvigorating her belief in herself. Suddenly, a deeper realization washed over her. It wasn't merely about the betrayal, it was about whom she was becoming. The thrill of self-actualization coursed through Clara, urging her to step forth into the unknown. But as the tension congealed into an uneasy truce, Clara knew that the road ahead would bring more confrontations, not just against Emma but deep within herself. Would this journey prompt further revelations about her own potential? And when the secrets of the household unraveled, what buried truths would be forced into the light? As she braced herself for the next wave of conflict, a new certainty emerged. Growth often rose from the ashes of turmoil, but could she handle whatever fires were yet to come? Clara woke the next morning to a sense of quiet resolve that settled in the pit of her stomach. It was a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time, as if the weight of expectation had been both acknowledged and swept aside. Although the tension with Emma still loomed, Clara now felt a surge of clarity. The confrontation had propelled her to a precipice of transformation, a moment where she could either retreat or leap into the unknown of her own strength. In the kitchen, the usual hum of the coffee machine mingled with the distant sound of Jack's footsteps. Clara moved through her morning routine, concentrating on the rhythm of her movements, the chopping, stirring, and serving, each action grounding her in purpose. She noted how the kitchen had always felt like her domain, yet today it felt different. It was more than just the space meant for meal preparation. It was where she would reclaim her narrative, gradually erasing the invisibility she had allowed others to impose upon her. As she prepared breakfast, Emma swept into the kitchen, her presence commanding yet distant. Clara felt her heart race as she considered the power dynamics shifting between them. The air crackled with unsaid words and suppressed emotions. "You're in my way," Emma snapped, an edge lacing her voice. Clara turned, meeting her gaze directly. "I'm making breakfast, Emma. Perhaps you should try it instead of turning everything into a battle," Clara replied, her voice steady, emboldened by last night's revelations. The shift in her tone caught Emma off guard, and for a fraction of a second, vulnerability flickered in her eyes before being masked by disdain. "Just remember your place," Emma retorted, brushing past Clara to pull out a pristine plate from the cabinet. But as Clara watched Emma, an image flashed in her mind of the mask she wore, of the secrets she harbored. The thought ignited a fire within Clara that she hadn't known she possessed. Was she really going to let Emma dictate her worth? The morning passed with an uncharacteristic fluidity, punctuated by a few pointed exchanges, but Clara felt a change within her. Each time she engaged with Emma, she found herself standing firmer. It was as though she were cracking open an invisible shell that had bound her. Instead of defending herself, she began to assert her place in the house and, in a larger sense, her life. By the time Jack entered the dining room, Clara was primed for further engagement. "I talked to my sister last night," he said, his voice laced with nervous energy. "She told me something that's been troubling me." Clara's heart raced, recognizing the shift from passive observer to active participant in this evolving narrative. "What was it?" she prompted, eager to delve deeper into his world, to understand the turmoil that mirrored her own sense of conflict. He hesitated, searching her face for assurance before continuing. "It's about Emma. She's been seeing a therapist for our issues, but something about it feels off. Like she's hiding parts of herself." His revelation resonated deeply, a mirror reflecting her own hidden struggles. Clara took a breath, weighing her next words. "Jack, can you see how this might connect to the meals? To the facade she maintains?" The urge to express the truth felt liberating, strengthening her resolve further. "You're right." His brow furrowed with contemplation. "I never thought of it that way. Perhaps she is scared of revealing who she is beneath everything. Maybe I should confront her." "Yes," Clara encouraged, the fear of what might unfold intertwined with a sense of purpose. "But prepare yourself. What you discover about Emma might challenge everything you thought you knew." Jack nodded, his determination solidifying. "Then we must both be ready, because if Emma is hiding truths, so am I. Perhaps it's time for both of us to stop living under facades." Clara felt exhilarated, a mixture of fear and anticipation coursing through her veins. It was not just Emma who would be confronted, the foundations of their lives were shaking, and in the chaos of revealed truths, they would be forced to confront their very selves. As Clara glanced at Jack, their eyes locked in a moment of shared understanding, a realization dawned. This journey was not only about exposing Emma's manipulations but also about stripping away the layers that had obscured who they were intended to be. And the question reverberated in her mind, what new identities would emerge from the ashes of this unraveling? The realization that this was just the beginning sent a shiver down her spine, filling her with both dread and excitement. Would they emerge victorious together, or would the weight of the past prove too heavy to bear? In that charged atmosphere, the moment became pivotal. Their confrontation with Emma loomed closer, as did the unveiling of their own hidden potentials. The very ground beneath them quivered, hinting at seismic shifts yet to come. Clara steeled herself for the impending storm, acutely aware that the next chapter of her life was just beginning. Clara lay awake that night, visions of the day's events swirling in her mind. The confrontation with Emma had awakened something dormant within her, a fierce determination slowly starting to overshadow the fear that had been her constant companion. She realized that the path unfolding before her was lined with uncertainty but also possibility. For too long, she had defined herself against the backdrop of others' expectations, allowing Emma's judgment to dictate her worth. With the morning light flooding into her room, Clara set a new intention: she would design the narrative of her life. She slipped out of bed and into her favorite pair of worn jeans and a faded sweatshirt that had always given her comfort. Today, she resolved to open herself up to the unknown and challenge the barriers that had kept her confined. The air in the kitchen was crisp as Clara walked in, the faint aroma of coffee tickling her senses. Jack was already up, the tension from the previous day still hanging between them. She noticed his furrowed brows as he studied his laptop, likely lost in thoughts concerning his sister's revelations. Clara fortified herself against the impulse to retreat into silence. "Good morning," she greeted gently, trying to ease the atmosphere. "Morning," he replied, looking up with a weak smile. "I'm just thinking about how to approach Emma. It feels daunting." "Don't let fear dictate your actions, Jack. Remember what we talked about." Clara moved closer, searching for resolve in their shared experience. "We can't let her own our truths anymore. It's time for us to address the real issues at hand. What if we devised a plan?" He met her gaze, his eyes flickering with a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. "What do you have in mind? Let us share our observations first, then present them to her together. It's more powerful that way. We can expose the truth rather than letting any false narratives dictate our dialogue." Jack nodded slowly, his expression shifting as he grasped the potential of her suggestion. They spent that morning brainstorming potential scenarios, each word they exchanged fanning the flames of their emergent confidence. Clara felt the exhilaration of aligning with someone who mirrored her desire for authenticity. There was something sacred about this collaboration. It became a profound exploration of their hidden strengths. As lunchtime approached, the heaviness of the impending confrontation loomed large on Clara's mind. She found herself contemplating her interactions with Emma, the skills she had suppressed for so long simmering just below the surface. It was time to lean into those inclinations, to trust her instincts. "Let us not get distracted by emotional barriers," Clara said, cradling a steaming bowl of soup in her hands. "We have valid points and truths to share. It's crucial we anchor ourselves in those." Her voice had grown steadier, fueled by the resolve she had cultivated. Embracing the idea of addressing Emma directly was becoming easier. Jack's voice joined hers in hopeful determination. Their shared dialogue had transformed into a united front, one that punctured the isolation of their earlier experiences. "This isn't just about confronting Emma. It's about reaffirming our own identities, too," Jack asserted. The word "our" felt significant to Clara, signaling that they were no longer isolated but a team. Together, they could carve out a space where truth reigned, affluent in understanding. As Clara prepared for the evening, the realization struck her: facing Emma wouldn't solely be about unveiling Emma's pretense but also about reclaiming aspects of herself she had lost in the shadows. The act of confronting Emma was now intertwined with their mutual growth, a delicate dance of truths revealed. Yet as that inevitable moment approached, Clara could feel the tension thrumming beneath her skin. What if Emma deflected? What if she crumbled? But what if this confrontation forged a new path for all of them? The hour drew nearer, and Clara's heart raced with trepidation and anticipation. What awaited her on the other side of this confrontation? She took a deep breath, knowing the time had come to break down barriers that had lingered far too long. Just as Clara turned toward the living room, ready to join Jack in their confrontation, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the hallway mirror, a determined, evolving version of herself staring back. Would this be the moment she finally stepped into her power, or would the shadow of doubt overtake her? The boundaries of their fragile existence were about to be tested, unveiling answers to both their personal identities and the uncertainty that loomed like a storm cloud. The confrontation with Emma was no longer just a catalyst for change, it represented a pivotal moment in their growth. Would they emerge with resilience, or would they find themselves lost in the chaos? As Clara took a tentative step forward, she could feel the ground shifting under her. The time had indeed come to face the truth, not only about Emma but about themselves. Clara stepped into the living room, the moment stretching out before her like a taut wire, ready to snap. Jack stood by the entrance, his posture tense yet resolutely anchored. The air was thick with anticipation, the pending confrontation intensifying the emotions swirling within her. Every part of her wanted to quaver, to step back into old patterns of avoidance, but she willed herself to stand firm, rearranging the narratives in her mind. "Are we ready?" she asked, her voice surprisingly steady as she met Jack's gaze. "We need to be," Jack replied, swallowing hard, determination alighting in his eyes. Their unspoken solidarity ignited a sense of shared purpose. Clara understood that this moment was not only about confronting Emma, it symbolized their mutual resolve to break free from chains that had held them captive for too long, chains forged by past insecurities and unvoiced truths. Though Clara's heart raced, she found a sliver of serenity amidst the chaos, drawing strength from every arrow of resolve shot through her adversity. She took a deep breath, inspiring herself as she mentally charted the course they had discussed. They would present their truths, no longer allowing Emma's narrative to shroud their realities. "Let us remember the goal," Clara said, her voice low but fierce. "This isn't about blame, it's about clarity. We're reclaiming our voices." Jack nodded, a slight smile breaking through the tension. "And voicing what we've always felt but never dared to express. I think we're ready." Time seemed to stretch as they waited, the seconds echoing their heartbeats. When Emma finally stepped through the door, the atmosphere shifted instantaneously, like a dark cloud drifting into a sunlit space, darkening their minds with unknowing fears. Clara noticed the lines of tension etched on Emma's face and took a moment to assess the woman who had long dominated their lives with her expectations, a woman now standing before her as both an adversary and a catalyst for transformation. "Hey," Emma greeted, her smile faltering as she sensed the weight of Clara and Jack's united front. "What is going on? Can we talk?" Clara found her voice, startling herself with its clarity. The moment felt precarious yet empowering, and she braced herself for what was to come. "Sure," Emma replied, her feigned nonchalance betraying a flicker of uncertainty. With Jack by her side, Clara led Emma to the couch, their body language clearly indicating they weren't merely there to chat. Taking a seat across from Emma, Clara felt the power dynamic shift. It was time to assert their truths. "We wanted to discuss some things," Jack started, his voice steady. "There's been a lot of misunderstanding, and we think it's time to clear the air." Clara felt the words spill from her lips, each one laced with the fervor of newfound clarity. "Your perception of us has shaped our reality, Emma. For so long, we've held back our true selves because we were afraid of how you might react. But we can't do this anymore." As the conversation unfolded, Clara navigated through her feelings with surprising ease, guided by the strength she had begun to nurture. Each sentence carved away at the walls Emma had built around her, walls erected from fear and judgment. Clara spoke her truth, revealing her fears, insecurities, and aspirations, laying it bare for Emma to hear. And she saw the reflection of her strength, dusted with vulnerability, seep into the deep recesses of Emma's guarded demeanor. Emma reacted. There were momentary flickers of defensiveness, followed by uncertainty, and unexpectedly, visible contemplation. "Are you saying that everything I believed was wrong?" Emma shot back, her tone more defensive than inquisitive. Clara grappled with the weight of those words, wishing she could take Emma's pain away while forging her own narrative truth. "No, we're saying it's time for us to share our perspectives. We're tired of living under shadows." Silence filled the room, a fragile moment where acknowledgement could either bloom or wither. Clara sensed a pivotal shift happening, not merely in her relationship with Emma but within herself. She exuded a sense of fortitude she had previously doubted she possessed. The confrontation had lifted Clara into unfamiliar territory where she was no longer defined by fear but by an unwavering commitment to her truth. Yet uncertainty lurked. Would Emma receive this revelation with openness, or would it lead them further down the path of conflict? As the lingering silence began to thrum with emotion, Clara realized this confrontation was more than the unveiling of secrets, it was a rebirth, an essential redefining of their identities. In that pivotal moment, would they find a path to understanding, or would the crack between them deepen? With the stakes at an all-time high, Clara poised herself to embrace whatever came next. The weight of possibility pulled her forward, as her breath hitched in anticipation. What would Emma reveal about herself as the layers start to peel away? Clara's breath hung heavy in the still air, waiting for Emma's response. She felt a tremor of anxiety rise within her, but this time she stifled it. She had come too far to retreat now. Jack's quiet confidence beside her was a reminder of the strength they had borrowed from each other throughout this process. Emma's brow furrowed, her lips tightening as if she were biting back a retort. The tension in the room felt palpable, and Clara wondered how long it would take before the walls Emma had built began to crumble. "Look," Emma began, her voice quivering slightly. "I didn't mean to make you feel that way. You both know how hard it can be to navigate relationships." Clara's heart twisted. Emma's reluctance to fully confront the situation threatened to pull them back into familiar patterns of avoidance. This wasn't what she had hoped for. "It's not just about misunderstanding, Emma. It's about your expectations and the way they've suffocated us. I want to know who I am outside of how you see me," she asserted, each word spoken with unfiltered conviction. Emma's gaze flickered to Jack, and Clara seized the moment. This wasn't merely about their past, it was also about redefining her present and future. "I deserve to explore my own identity, my dreams and desires without the shadow of your wishes looming over me." The silence expanded, stretching thin before finally snapping when Emma responded. "But I thought I was guiding you. What is so wrong with wanting the best for you?" Clara felt the pang of truth laced within Emma's words. Wasn't that why they had allowed her to dictate so much? "It's not that your intentions were bad, Emma. It's just that they felt overwhelming." Instead of encouragement, it felt more like chains. Uncertainty washed over Emma's features, a flicker of realization dawning within her. Clara noticed the subtle shift in Emma's posture, the tension in her shoulders lessening as recognition mingled with vulnerability. Jack leaned in, and Clara's heart raced, trusting him to reinforce the shared message. "It's about understanding, Emma. We're not asking you to agree with everything. We're asking you to listen. We need space to grow." In that moment, Clara's resolve crystallized, tethering her to the outcome of this discussion. She would not just be fighting for herself but for the clarity they all needed. A truth dawned upon her, a dual purpose of healing, not hostility. Emma blinked as if shaking off the weight of denial. "So you mean to tell me you two want me to just step back and let go?" "Yes," Clara urged, a warmth flooding her heart. "This is about trust. Trusting us to make choices, to pursue what makes us happy, and to know that the love we share won't falter because of it." The room held its breath as Emma processed the words, her face revealing a dance of emotions, fear, confusion, and finally curiosity. Clara could see the acknowledgement forming in Emma's eyes, the cracks emerging in old defenses. "What if I don't understand your decisions?" Emma finally asked, her voice unsteady. "Then we'll help you understand," Clara replied, a shy smile breaking her seriousness. "But we can't thrive under the weight of expectations that don't belong to us." Here, the words flowed like a river, unstoppable. "Please, just meet us where we are." The conversation morphed, tension subtly shifting into something resembling rapport. But as Clara felt the stirrings of hope, shadows of doubt gripped her once more. What if the shift required more than just a conversation? The uncertainty hovered over her like a specter, promising new discussions that would dig deeper and require brutal honesty from all sides. She now bore the weight of a future that could offer liberation or conflict, and it left her with a churn of emotions to unpack. As Clara's thoughts settled momentarily, she recalibrated to the immediate task before them. "If you're willing, let us talk more about how we can all transition into this new understanding. We must be clear about our boundaries and desires moving forward." Emma took a deep breath, color returning to her cheeks. "Okay, I am willing to try." Before Clara could respond, the doubt's clutches gripped her again. What if this was merely the start of an uphill battle for transparency? Clara resolved to confront these fears head-on. Together with Jack, they would untangle the web of expectations that had defined their lives for so long. But the lingering question remained, would Emma fully embrace this change, or retreat once more into guardedness? With tension crackling in the air, Clara knew they were standing at a precipice facing the unknown together, yet fearful of the distance that could still exist between them. What freedoms and challenges would await them on the other side? Days turned into weeks after the momentous confrontation in the living room, and Clara found herself transformed in ways she had scarcely imagined. The fractures in her relationship with Emma had begun to heal, though they were not without their challenges. They were committed to communicating openly, and that bond was slowly rewriting the narrative of their lives. Clara no longer viewed herself solely through the lens of servitude, she was gaining an identity that felt authentic and worthwhile. In the ensuing conversations, Clara harnessed her resilience to confront her own biases. She realized that Emma also bore the weight of her expectations, which stemmed from fears of inadequacy and loss. By sharing her vulnerabilities, Clara saw fragments of humanity in Emma that challenged her initial perceptions. No longer trapped in a hierarchical structure, they were both just women attempting to navigate the complexities of life's pressures. Jack, having stood with Clara, managed to shed the layers of doubt he'd walked with for years. He began redefining what true partnership meant, offering Emma a chance to navigate through her own shadows while also asserting his own needs. The thriving and evolving dynamic alerted Clara to a vital truth: their respective journeys were intertwined, and they had to honor their growth together. Clara's self-discovery journey led her to embrace her culinary talents more openly. She began experimenting with the very recipes once falsely attributed to Emma, forging a sense of pride in her skills while establishing a cooking class for local mothers yearning to reclaim their identities beyond their parental roles. It became a space of empowerment, where Clara fostered community and creativity. Providing others with tools to nourish their families with love while simultaneously feeding their aspirations ignited something in her, a fulfilling warmth radiating from within. The cooking class blossomed, gaining acclaim among mothers in their neighborhood. Clara received heartwarming feedback about how her lessons helped reshape their confidence and dynamics in the kitchen. The very environment that once felt restrictive was now a source of liberation. The simple joy of peeling potatoes or sautéing vegetables led to deeper conversations about self-worth, identity, and ambition. It was one breezy Saturday afternoon when she found herself at the farmer's market to gather fresh produce for her class that she encountered a transformative moment. While discussing the array of spices with a local vendor, she paused to reflect on her journey. She truly felt unshackled, gripping her purse with tangible excitement. Only months prior, the idea of stepping into her own identity had felt overwhelming. Now, she was doing it. She was thriving. "Are you a chef?" the vendor asked, curiously eyeing her. "No," Clara laughed lightly, warmth flooding her chest. "I'm just a mother and a woman learning to embrace who I am. It's my passion now." With that affirmation, Clara felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her, one built on conviction, hard work, and the courage to voice her truth. The past few months had reshaped her identity. Not only did she uncover the truth about Emma, but she also unearthed the layers of her own essence, reclaiming her place in the world. In the evenings, Clara would often spend time with Jack, who was now fully engaged in exploring their joint dreams without the suffocating weight of expectation from either side. They would laugh over shared dinners, and discuss their ambitions and disappointments while watching the sunset paint the sky in vivid strokes of magenta and gold. Their bond inspired a sense of authenticity in their partnership, their aspirations blooming in tandem. The resolve to confront their truths opened unexpected avenues for exploration, resulting in mutual respect and increased intimacy. Jack shared that he was more committed than ever to unraveling his own layers of identity, investing the necessary energy to understand himself one step at a time. As Clara reflected on this newfound sense of togetherness, she resolved to invite Emma to join their cooking class for an evening. It was no longer about casting blame, it was about creating an experience of unity. She visualized them stirring pots and mixing flavors, each interaction a thread weaving a new tapestry of connection. It wasn't just about overcoming illusions, they were now creating something genuine and lasting together. This time, Clara stepped forward with absolute confidence. The transformation wasn't a single event but rather an ongoing journey, one that brought Clara a sense of fulfillment she had never before anticipated. She was no longer merely an employee, she became a leader in her community, a nurturer of dreams, and a woman embracing her authentic self. This was a concrete achievement she owned, one that radiated through every facet of her life, from Jack's renewed enthusiasm to Emma's gradual opening towards compassion. Each decision solidified the truths she had fought for, building the scaffolding for a future defined by honesty, strength, and freedom. And now, with unyielding clarity, Clara understood, to live one's truth, to embrace open conversations about identities, was not merely an accomplishment, it was the very essence of what it meant to thrive in a world rich with possibility. Her heart swelled with a victorious recognition. Clara had indeed conquered the illusions that once bounded her to mediocrity were now cleared away, replaced with the light of authentic validation. So she basked in that moment of profound personal achievement, knowing that her journey was far from over, but it was finally one she could embrace with courage and pride. If you want to be inspired by more incredible journeys of personal transformation, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Tap that subscription button to not miss the incredible stories ahead. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure these profound stories continue to reach those who need them most. And comment below with your thoughts. What transformations are you undergoing? We want to hear your theories, reactions, and inspirations. Don't wait even one more second. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion and join you on a journey of empowerment.